for us tonight. A little helper, Katie. Just going to keep everybody on track of what's going on with what we're going through with the skids. So let me just get these laid out.
So we're going to start, we're in a convenience store. Caleb is the store owner, and then Alicia's going to be a customer.
Hey, welcome. How are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
Doing good. Anything I can help you find?
No, I'm just getting a few
Just
things.
looking? Okay. Let me know if you need help.
I'm finished.
Great, check out? Okay. All right. That's all you need?
That's all
All you need? Okay. All right. 378.
Yeah.
Thank you. There you go. Do you need a bag?
No.
You're good? Okay.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're in church, and Caleb's the minister, and Alicia's going to be in the congregation.
Good evening. So glad to have you.
Thank you.
Tonight we're talking about restitution. One day, as Jesus was passing through the city of Jericho, Zacchaeus, chief among the publicans, sought to see him. But being little of stature, Zacchaeus was unable to see Jesus because of the people. So he ran ahead of the throng and climbed up into a tree. When Jesus came his way, he stopped and, looking up into the tree, commanded Zacchaeus to come down, informing him that he must abide in his house that day. Zacchaeus, a tax collector for the Roman government, voluntarily promised to restore fourfold anything he had taken wrongfully. Jesus assured him that this day is salvation come to his house. Luke 19:9. In effect, Jesus was placing his approval on the principle of restitution. Lord God, we ask God that you would help her this evening, Lord God. Whatever she needs, if she's searching for you, that you open her heart. Lord, we ask this evening. Thank you, Jesus. Praying for salvation?
Yeah. There's something that I have to do. I have to go make something right.
What is that?
I stole something from the convenience store yesterday. Since the Lord saved me, I have to go make it right and apologize and repay what I've done.
Well, restitution is the act of restoring to the owner anything that which has been wrongfully taken, or given satisfaction to a person who has been injured. This is what Zacchaeus said he would do. Today, people who make restitution gain the favor of God and sometimes the confidence of both friends and enemies. It would be just as wrong to keep something that was stolen before one's conversion as it would be to steal after one's conversion. The only remedy is to restore it. Then go and steal no more. Ephesians 4:28. Is that how you feel this afternoon?
Yeah.
Go make things right. Not quite done yet.
Oh! So now we're going back to the
We're going to
convenience
make
store.
Oh, hey, you're back.
Hey!
You need another candy bar? They're good, aren't they?
I know.
Yeah, I've had a lot. They're so good. Just reading my Bible.
Well, there's something that I need to talk to you about.
Okay.
I have to say that I have to apologize to you because I stole 2 oranges from a candy store. But since then, the Lord has changed me, and I'm a child of God now. And so I'd like to repay you for the things that I've stolen.
Okay. What all did you have?
I got a pack of gallon of candy. Oh,
Okay. You're going to pay those back?
yes.
So it's actually $10.70. Well, I really appreciate you coming back and making things right. Everything good here on our end.
Okay, good.
Okay. Thank you.
Get ready to go do it. So tonight we're going to be talking about restitution, but of course our theme this year is my road trip. And you've probably seen certain signs. If I can get my sign up here. Maybe that one, no U-turn. There's a lot in Cleveland that we can thank my generation as a teenager, Sister Kim's generation for cruising the streets. Now you have more of these around. You were guilty, right?
No, I was working.
Well, I worked in the when I got home. Okay, Kimmy was not guilty of all these no U-turn signs, but I have to confess, Brother William, I kind of was. And Dad, if you're watching, yeah, sorry. Anyway, and then also restitution, right? So I'm telling my dad. But we're going to talk today about making a U-turn. And sometimes we need to make U-turns. And thankfully there are places that we can make U-turns. I'm always headed from, I always like to tell you where I'm going, I guess. So when I just did this Monday, because Dad wanted me to pick up Arby's. So I'm coming down Key Street, and I'm never coming down the side of the road that it's on, Sister William. I'm always coming down the other side. So I have to wait until there's a place for me to make a U-turn, turn around, get to Arby's. Well, what do you know, they had this parking lot torn up. So guess what? I had to go all the way around another parking lot and go all the way around, and I had all kinds of U-turns. But tonight we're going to be talking about making a U-turn and not the no U-turn. Of course, when you're a Christian, you don't want to turn back to your old ways. You don't want to do a U-turn. And turn back to your old ways. But when you're making restitution, you want to make a U-turn. You want to go back and do those works over again. You see in the skit where Alicia decides that she's going to take more than what she's paid for. And I don't know if you've ever been in that situation before, but how many has actually never had to make restitution for something? Anybody? Hopefully everybody has asked for forgiveness or, went and had something done. And I was debating on whether to share this, and it's kind of comical, so I guess I'll tell you because I'm not going to tell you everything I've had to make restitution for. But this one's kind of comical, and it was sad and frustrating for me at the time, but I had to do it, Sister Sutton, and I think it was the last time I had to make restitution. So it was about a month ago, and I always, if Brother Chris doesn't like a particular food place, I always make sure that I order him something from Taco Bell and take it to wherever we're going to eat on Tuesdays. So it just happened to be one of those days where I had to do it. And during COVID, when I had COVID, my dad said, can I pick y'all up Taco Bell one day? So I had it set to go to the Key Street location. Well, unbeknown to me, I always pick it up at the North Lee location on my phone to order it and didn't realize it. So I ordered the food, and poor Brother Chris, we're sitting at Fazoli's, and we're next door and we're watching him, and he's not coming out. 10, 15 minutes later, Brother William, he's still in there, and I text him what's going on. We're all eating there at the table, and he goes, they don't have my food. Didn't you do it? I was like, yeah, I paid for it. So I called Taco Bell from Fazoli's. I'm like, my husband's in line, and I don't know what's going on, but he needs his food, and he don't have the money because I've already paid for it. Well, they're nice enough, and they just go ahead and give it to him because they think we're correct. Because I've made sure that I've done it on my app and all of this stuff. Well, that late afternoon, I realized my food was sitting in Key Street. Or Chris's food sitting in Key Street. So the next day, I go over there. I didn't want to call them. But I went in there and I said, can I speak to a manager? And so I told him, I said, I want to pay for this meal. I said, because y'all made it for him nicely, even though it wasn't your fault. And I said, I deeply apologize. I was just so embarrassed. But I did go and make things right. It's kind of comical now, but the guy said, I think I remember that. And he described Chris as a guy. He was just waiting and looking around like he had lost something. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And the more he carried on, the more I felt worse than I did. But he would not make me pay. They gave Brother Chris coupons and everything. I said, I've still got the coupons. I don't even want the coupons anymore for the free stuff. I said, but I'll make sure my app is changed the next time. But I was so embarrassed that I felt like I needed to make, most people like, whatever. Or if they give you extra money at the store, do you just keep it? Or most of the time I just throw stuff in my pocket. But I look at the dollar bills and make sure it's right, but sometimes the change I just put in my pocket and not count it. But how many times have we had to make restitution on something? And it's sometimes not that easy. You know, Sister Alicia, if that would have really been a store clerk, that would have not been easy. It was easy for that demonstration, but if it had been an actual store clerk, it would have been pretty rough, especially if you stole something. And I had to admit to the guy, and I kind of told everybody at headquarters later right away, because they were in there seeing me frustrated at Taco Bell. I said, it was not Taco Bell's fault at all. And I guess Key Street had an extra meal that they had with my name on it. But sometimes we do have to make restitution. And sometimes we have to do it as children of God. You know, we might not have technically I didn't steal the food. In my mind, I was like, I've done it. I paid for it. I want his, food. He's hungry. He's got an hour for lunch. But sometimes we have to make restitution on things that maybe, we didn't steal something, but there's things that we need to make right. Or maybe we've gotten upset with someone and we've needed to make something right. And so we want to talk about some of these things tonight. Caleb and Alicia did speak about Zacchaeus and the things that he had to do, and he did make restitution. He said he's going to restore it fourfold, 4 times the amount. But I wanted to look up on Google what restitution is, just commonly, because we hear it in the church, and I didn't hear it that much growing up, but when I came to the church, I figured out this word, restitution. That's when I heard it. Now, I've heard of saying you're sorry and apologizing and things like that, and making things right, but I didn't know the actual word, really. But the dictionary meaning, an act of restoring or a condition of being restored, such as a restoration of something to its rightful owner, or a making good of or giving an equivalent for some injury. And now this is the definition. This is not like a church definition. This is the definition of restitution. An example of restitution is money paid in a breach of contract case to make up for the breach. An example of restitution is when a shoplifter has to give back or pay for the item that he stole. So just like in the example. But there's many times when people have to make restitution. There are times when people go to jail and the law says for them to make restitution, they might have to serve jail time, they might have to pay certain fees, they have to do certain things to make up for that restitution. So even in the world in general, we are to make restitution for things that we have done wrong. There's consequences when we don't. There are 3 different types of restitution. There's something called restitutional fines, parole, revocation fines, and direct orders. The court can order all 3 types of restitution in the same case. If the offender is found guilty in multiple cases, the court can order all 3 types of restitution in each case. Now, thankfully, I've never had to deal with this before, but this is what some people have to go through for their restitution, to to make things right, to make time served, so to speak. There are some times when you see people picking up trash on the side of the road and it might say, I was caught on their backs, I was caught DUI. Them guys probably had, and girls probably had fines, but then they were having to do community service or things like that. That was part of their restitution. Now, just because we make restitution doesn't mean that we're saved. I mean, anybody can say, a child can say, I'm sorry, and make things right. But to be saved, of course, is to ask the Lord for forgiveness. But there are many times that we have to make restitution. And when you think about many things, we talk about stealing things, and I thought about people who are married and then they're remarried, and they've got the one spouse and then they get married again. Well, that's not their spouse. So they have to make that right. And the world don't teach that part of restitution. That goes under the rug because they're like, well, if they're bad, if they're mean, if you get tired of them, you can divorce them, and that's that. But if Chris had been married before, then I would have to say, okay, I cannot no longer be married to you because you were married to your first wife. Thankfully, that didn't happen. But things like that happen where we have, just like giving a car back or paying for a candy bar or making restitution during a DUI or, if people that murder people, they have to suffer consequences and they have to make their restitution. They have to pay fees. Those that are dangerous and they wreck and accidentally kill somebody, sometimes there's restitution involved and things like that. So there's many times that in the world we need to make restitution. Whether you're a sinner or you're serving the Lord, there needs to be restitution made. And of course the church teaches, and we believe that, the Bible teaches that we are to make restitution on things. And it gives us a great example with Zacchaeus here in Luke chapter 19. But I want to read a few extra verses. In Ephesians, I think they touched on this, Ephesians chapter 28, or chapter 4, verse 28. It says, let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth. I did not give the scripture, but when you see the lady that was caught in the act of adultery, Jesus told her to go and sin no more. That's what she had to do. There's probably some restitution involved there, and she was not supposed to have adultery anymore with whoever she was. Hopefully she went and said, I'm sorry that I had relations with your wife, or your husband to the wife, or whatever happened in her situation. But Jesus said, go and sin no more. That means after the restitution is made, we're not supposed to sin anymore. Hopefully, after Alicia learned the first time about stealing the candy bar, she's not going to go steal another candy bar and a pack again. Because she's made it to the altar and she wants to be serving the Lord and she wants to be a good moral person in society. She doesn't want to go to jail, but she wants to go to heaven too. So she's made things right with the shop owner, so she won't go to jail if he figures it out. If he sees a video camera later and sees her do it, and she's made things right with the Lord. Also, Romans chapter 13, 7 through 14, it says, render therefore to all their dues. Tribute to whom tribute is due. Custom to whom custom. Fear to whom fear. Honor to whom honor. Owe no man anything but to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. For this, Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Now these verses here, if you commit adultery, if you kill, if you steal, if you bear false witness, if you covet, these are things that you're probably going to, if you do those things, these are things that you're going to have to make restitution for and make things right on all kinds of ends. If you bear false witness, if you lie to somebody, you should really go and apologize to them. Say, I'm sorry that I've done that. I've bear false witness. I've talked about you. I've done these things. And ask for forgiveness and make restitution for those things. Same as each one of these that are listed, part of the 10 Commandments. It says, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. When we're loving everyone like we should, like our own selves, we're not even going to have to worry about restitution because we won't have to make it. We'll be, unless you do something accidentally, like my Taco Bell accident. But when we are and when the Lord is dealing with us, then we can make those things right. But there's so many things that we can avoid doing if we just love one another as ourselves, as the Bible says. Love worketh no evil to his neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law. And that knowing the time, that is now high time to awake out of sleep, for our salvation is nearer than when we believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying. But put ye on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. So we need to have Christ on and make no provision of the flesh. What Alicia did was of the flesh. She wanted the candy and the chewing gum and the other candy. She paid for one. Is that not good enough? But she needed to take care of all of it. Or if she didn't have money, just leave it there. Something simple like that. But yet there's so many people day in and day out that go around taking whatever they can. And sometimes it's things that, would cost them more to make restitution, Sister Sutton, than what the item actually called for. And if you're thinking, even in school, there are times, maybe nobody was guilty of this. Here I am confessing today. But we might go look at our neighbor's paper and, oh yeah, I remember that now. But yet, that's wrong. Maybe we didn't study. Maybe we were cruising around town or working all the time, and we didn't study in our high school years, and we're looking, elementary too, Laners, we're looking over there at other people's papers. You better believe if you had, you better be making, I guess I could call all my teachers now, Sister Boyd, and make restitution. But I didn't then, but here's your opportunity. If you cheated on your test, especially you that are still in school, you better make restitution. Or copied somebody's homework, or something like that. Because that's wrong too. Even little kids need to make restitution. How many of you had a sibling before that you might have, it's confession, Sister Boyd, it's confession. I was always eating my candy first. Jennifer, on the other hand, kind of put hers to the side. Guess what? When I wanted some candy, guess what? I knew where the candy was. We as kids still have to make things right. And when we're saved, Brother Nick got saved the other day, and These are things that he has to think about now. He was probably already thinking about them. But these are things that we have to watch and make sure. We got to repent and to make things right, because, you know, it's easy just to kind of look and see what somebody else got for their cancer. But that's not how we're supposed to do it. At school, we're supposed to study, and they want what our answers are, not what the guy beside of us or the girl beside of us is, but they want our answers. And it can go so many different ways. We can do things at work that maybe, I was going to have, when they told me they was going to do a skit, I said, okay, I won't do mine, but I was going to have Brother Nick and Brother Danny have their hard hats on, you know, and Brother Nick's got a new tool. Brother William, he's got a new tool, you know, he's doing it. Well, guess what? Brother Danny's over there working with him. He likes Brother Nick's new tool. Well, Brother Nick takes him a break. Guess who goes and takes Brother Nick's tool? Because he wants it. Well, I don't know what happened to it. It just disappeared. But then guess who has to make restitution back? You better bring Brother Nick's tool, because he might not be able to work again. And it goes on your workplace, your school place, your home life. All of these things to make restitution and to make things right with people. And we want to do that, like I said, as a good moral person, but we definitely want to do that as a child of God. And make sure. We shouldn't even be in that. You know, it says don't covet. Brother Danny, don't covet his tools. Because that could lead to you stealing it. Then you got to make restitution. And guess what? If you're caught, and then if you don't make restitution, you can go to jail. Now I'm talking about them as just workers. They're not. Hopefully in the church none of this is happening, but they're just workers out in the field working. Brother Nick, I'm not going to call you brother at this point because we're talking about workers. Nick could press charges against Danny. He done stole my tools. If you don't give them back, I'm going to call the police, or I'm going to call the supervisor. And then guess who loses his job? So, this is something that we all must do at different times in our lives. Parents might have to apologize to their children. Children might have to apologize. Best friends, things like that. But I want to, as we're getting ready to close, I want to give a few scriptures of the Old Testament to let you know some of the things that they had to do for restitution. Now, we know what we have to do for restitution now. And we have to make that U-turn and make things right. But in the Old Testament, in the law, this is some of the things that God told Moses to tell the people. And some of it was kind of hard. I mean, harder than, well, with us, it's hard to give money or to go pick up trash or go, you know, make things right at the store. But in Exodus chapter 22, verse 1, I want to read two accounts. Exodus 22, verse 1, if a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. What does that mean? Your farm is just getting depleted right now because of that 1 ox or that 1 sheep. The law says 5 and 4. If a thief be found breaking up or be smitten that he die, there shall no blood be shed for him. If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him, and he should make full restitution. If he have nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. So if he don't have it to give, he was sold. That means, I guess he's the guy. Brother David, if you can't pay for his tool back, I guess with the law you're going to have to be his servant now. And as what the Old Testament law said. If the thief be certainly found in his hand alive, whether it be the theft be certainly, so if it's still alive, whether it be the ox or an ass or a sheep, he shall restore double. So if the animal's dead, we'll use Brother Danny, if the tool's broken now, he needs to make restitution for Brother Nick fivefold. But if it's still alive, or it's still working, probably needs to do it twofold, according to this. But if a man shall cause a field or a vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast, and shall feed in another man's field, or the best of his own field, and of the best of his own vineyard, shall he make restitution. If a fire break out and catch in thorns, so that the sacks of corn, or the standing corn, or the field be consumed therewith, he that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. So if you're burning a fire and your neighbor's property gets burnt, you're going to have to make restitution according to the law. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double. So all of these things are restitution that was made for the law. Now all she had to do was just go and be honest and bring back the money, and she repented also. Guys, that's what she had to do. But according to the law, this was some serious stuff according to the law of the land. If you go to Leviticus chapter 6, verses 1 through, we'll probably get to verse 7. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, this is Leviticus chapter 6, if a soul sin and commit a trespass against the Lord, and lie unto his neighbor in that which is delivered him to keep, or in fellowship, or in a thing taken away by violence, or hath deceived his neighbor, so any of these things, that if he took it, if he lied about it, if he took it in violence, or found that which was lost and lied concerning it, so even if he found it and then didn't say he found it and kept it, and swear falsely, if any of all these that a man doeth, sinning therein, then it shall be, because he hath sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violently away, or the thing which he hath deceitfully gotten, or that which was delivered him to keep, or the lost thing which he found, or all that about which he hath sworn falsely. He shall even restore it in the principal, and shall add the fifth part more thereto, and give it unto him to whom it appertaineth in the day of his trespass offering. Then he shall bring the trespass offering unto the Lord, a ram without blemish out of the flock, without estimation, for a trespass offering unto the priest. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord, and it shall be forgiven him for anything of all that he hath done in trespassing therein. Now, of course, in the law, he had to bring his ram to the priest and make that. Jesus had not died for their sins yet. So his offering was to bring the ram and let the priest take care of it for his atonement. When Sister Alicia went down to pray, that was when she was working with restitution. Jesus made the atonement for her because she repented. She realized, hey, I've done wrong. I need to make things right. She went and asked for forgiveness from the Lord. The Lord forgave her, but that wasn't all. She needed to make sure that she made the restitution that she needed to make. Because the Lord forgave her, but he also required her to do something. This guy up here, it said, shall add the fifth part, more thereto. But then he also had to take a trespass offering to the priest for his sin. I thank the Lord today that the Lord allowed his son to die in my place. That I don't have to worry about Sister William taking a ram or a sheep or a goat or whatever I need to take, a turtle dove or anything like that. Because the ultimate sacrifice was maybe Calvin. And I thank the Lord for that. I do. So when she got up, she had that atonement made that Christ had made for her. She went directly to Him. Of course, this is basic tonight. But my whole thing is remember restitution. If things are not going the way they should, make things right. If it's something you said or did that just popped up and maybe you didn't even know about it, but make things right. I want to get to heaven, don't you? That's what we want to do. And I don't want to keep a mishap from Taco Bell. Sister Parton, to keep me, I don't know if it ever would or not, but I want to make sure that everything's clear and that I've done my part. Lord, help us. Help us each and every day to guard our hearts and our minds, and help us that if we do something, Lord, help us. Brother Coya mentioned a few weeks ago about 1 Thessalonians 5:17. I've got it on my refrigerator, and I think about it quite often, Brother Coya, for many years. It says, pray without ceasing. For praying without ceasing. The Lord's going to remind us when we need to make restitution. He definitely will. Some of us can say, been there, done that. And we might have to do it again. But I thank the Lord tonight for His mercy, for His grace, for His word that will teach us these things. Because that's what's going to help us. When we're studying and when we're seeing things in God's word and we're praying and seeking the Lord, He's going to direct us.